A receptionist's husband secretly made fake accounts to call her karaoke level. Under every video she posted, what he didn't know was that she'd made it onto a national talent show, and the producers traced every one of those hate comments back to him. On live TV, behind her on a 30-foot screen, they started flashing the exact words he'd typed, while she sang a song about escaping a cage. And yes, he was in the audience with another woman. If anyone's ever laughed at your dreams, watch this video all the way through. The building always sounded different after 5 o'clock. When the phones finally stopped ringing and the last co-workers grabbed their bags to rush toward the parking lot, the lobby was left to the quiet hum of vending machines and the soft hiss of the air conditioner. Maya waited for that moment every evening. When the glass doors slid shut behind the final employee and the echo of footsteps faded down the hallway, she could finally lean back in her chair, kick off the stiff black heels that pinched her toes, and let the song trapped in her chest rise to the surface. She would click off the harsh fluorescent lights above the reception desk, leaving only the lamp that glowed like a small warm moon. Then she opened the voice recorder on her phone, treating the empty lobby like a stage and the rows of faded chairs like an audience holding its breath. Her voice started quietly, afraid the office walls might tattle. Yet as the first verse rolled out, the words grew steadier. The melody wrapped around the room with a confidence that felt different from her receptionist voice, the one that politely said, "Thank you for calling and let me transfer you." She sang about long roads, small towns, and people who loved each other but didn't know how to say it. As the lyrics unfolded, she could almost feel the heat of stage lights on her face. She could almost believe the sound coming out of her was big enough to reach beyond this beige carpet and fake plants. When she hit the chorus, her chest vibrated, and the ceiling seemed to lift, as if the building itself was listening. She didn't notice Hannah from accounting had returned for a forgotten water bottle until a soft clap startled her. Maya spun around, hand flying to her chest, embarrassment burning her cheeks. But Hannah's grin looked amazed, not mocking. She told Maya she honestly thought someone had left a radio playing, because the voice drifting down the hall was too rich to be live. Maya laughed it off with a shy shrug, calling it just a hobby. But when Hannah shook her head and said, "People go on TV with voices way less impressive than that," a tiny ember of something old and buried sparked in Maya's chest. That ember had been there since she was 13, watching singing competitions on a scratchy living room rug, while her mother folded laundry. Back then, Maya used a hairbrush as a microphone, imagining crowds and cameras. Years later, on her second date with Eric, she had told him that story. He had leaned forward, asking about her favorite singers, making her feel seen. She didn't know then that he had failed at his own music dreams, or that his bruised ego wouldn't allow anyone near him to succeed where he hadn't. The night he first heard her sing properly was 6 months into their marriage. In their tiny apartment, smelling of jarred pasta sauce and cheap wine, she decided to be vulnerable. She stood up and told him she wanted to sing an original song. Her nerves fluttered like trapped birds, but she trusted him. She sang about finding a home in someone's eyes, looking at him for affirmation. When she finished, trembling, she waited for a hug or a compliment. Instead, Eric snorted. The laughter was loud and harsh in the small kitchen. He shook his head in disbelief. "You're cute, babe," he said, wiping his mouth. "But be serious. The lyrics are like high school poetry. You're not exactly Grammy material. Focus on real life." The words sank into her like stones. She pretended to laugh along because confronting him felt dangerous, but the comment lodged deep inside her. After that, she only sang in the shower or the empty office. She apologized when she hummed. She let him believe her dream was a childish phase she had outgrown. Months slid by. Then on a gray Tuesday, an ad popped up on her work. "Computer for American Star Rising." The auditions were 40 minutes away. Her heart hammered. The voice in her head, which sounded like Eric, told her she was too old, too boring, too receptionist. But Hannah saw the ad over her shoulder. "If you don't try," Hannah whispered, "you'll hate yourself in 10 years. That evening, Maya recorded a single take in the lobby and sent it in, swearing Hannah to secrecy. 3 weeks later, the email arrived. "Congratulations, Maya. You've been selected for a live audition." That night, she walked into their apartment, clutching the printout like a fragile ticket to another universe. She waited until after dinner to tell Eric, hoping for support. His face went still. Then came the crooked, patronizing smile. Them, they must be desperate, he said. Go if you want, but don't cry when you become a meme. Then he dropped the anchor. By the way, my parents are having a celebratory dinner that same Saturday. Mom's expecting you. It would be pretty embarrassing if you skipped family for a delusion. Guilt twisted in her stomach. But looking at the wedding photo on the wall, and then at the man dismissing her, something shifted. The 13-year-old girl with the hairbrush microphone lifted her head. Maya realized that the decision she made in the next few days wouldn't just change her voice. It would define the rest of her life. On the morning of the audition, the apartment felt like it had shrunk. The walls pressed in on Maya as she stood at the sink. The ticking of the cheap wall clock sounded like a countdown. Eric sat at the table in an old t-shirt, scrolling through his phone, absent-mindedly stirring sugar into his coffee. Clink, clink, clink. Maya had rehearsed a speech, but her voice came out thin. She told him she loved his parents, but she was going to the audition. This one Saturday had to be for her. Eric didn't look up immediately. When he did, his mouth was a tight line. You're reading too much into an email, he said. They cast for drama, not talent. You're risking embarrassment for 15 seconds of nothing. He paused, aiming for the soft spot. My parents are going to be disappointed. I wonder what they'll think when they hear you skipped dinner for a TV stunt. The guilt pushed against her, but a new layer of stubbornness held her up. They can have dinner with us any weekend, she said, surprised by the steadiness of her own voice. The show won't wait. Eric flashed a look of sharp annoyance, then shrugged it off, masking it with indifference. Fine. If you want to make a fool of yourself, I won't watch. I'll see you at my parents' house if you come to your senses. He rinsed his cup, kissed the top of her head distractedly, and left. Driving to the theater, Maya's hands were cold on the wheel. The knot in her stomach tightened with every mile. The theater was wrapped in LED screens flashing the show's logo. A line of people snaked around the block guitar cases sequined nervous energy. Inside the waiting room was a chaos of vocal warm-ups and caffeine. When her number was called, her legs felt like they were asleep, but she walked forward. A production assistant clipped a mic to her waist. From behind the curtain, she heard a buzzer and a polite no given to the contestant before her. She closed her eyes, inhaled the memory of her voice in the empty lobby, and stepped through the curtain. The light hit her. The stage was blindingly bright. The three judges sat behind a glossy desk. Beyond them, the audience was a sea of shadows. A producer pointed to an X on the floor. She walked to it. What's your name? The female judge asked kindly. And is anyone here with you? The question hit hard. Maya smiled through the ache. My family is watching from home. It was a lie, but she wouldn't let Eric's absence break her now. Maya began. At first, her voice was thin, catching in her throat. But as the melody settled, she closed her eyes. She sang about being invisible, about the ache of holding back. Halfway through the chorus, the fear dissolved. Her voice rose from her chest, rich and resonant, filling the high corners of the theater. When she finished, the silence was heavy electric. Then applause rippled out, growing into a wave. The kind judge stood up. It felt like watching a door finally swing open, she said. The skeptical judge admitted he had nothing clever to say. The talent spoke for itself. The third judge simply asked, Why are you answering phones when you should be making records? Maya walked out of the theater, with a golden ticket in her hand and the world looking brighter, sharper. She called Hannah, who screamed with joy. Then she thought of calling Eric. She hesitated, imagined his skepticism, and put the phone away. When she got home, Eric was watching a game, eating wings. The apartment smelled of hot sauce and indifference. I got through, she said clearly. All three said yes. He didn't look away from the TV. They need relatable filler, he said, chewing. Don't let it get to your head. And don't drag my name into your narrative. I don't want to be part of some sob story. That night, while Maya lay awake replaying the applause in her mind, Eric sat in the living room. The show's social media had posted a teaser clip of her audition. It was already gaining views. Strangers were commenting, she's amazing. Eric's jaw tightened. In the dark, the blue light of his phone illuminating his face. He created a burner account. He typed, she's nothing special. Sounds like every other girl who sings in her car, overhyped. He hit post. A sour satisfaction settled in his chest. He didn't know it yet, but he had just started the paper trail that would destroy him. Backstage was a storm of noise, but in the makeup chair, Maya was quiet. She wore a deep blue evening gown that caught the light like water. She looked at her reflection, sharper, stronger, battle-tested by weeks of competition. A producer knocked and entered, holding a thin file folder. Her face was serious. "Maya, I have something you need to see. You have full control over this." She opened the folder. Inside were screenshots of comments. "She's overhyped. Karaoke." Voice. Just an office girl, pretending to be a star. They were nasty, relentless, and all from the same user. "We traced the IP address," the producer said softly. "It's your husband." The room tilted. Maya gripped the counter. Eric, the man who shared her bed, who ate the dinner she cooked, had been logging on every night to tear her down anonymously. "He's here tonight," the producer added. "Fourth row, with a woman in a red dress." Maya went cold. He had said he was too tired to come. Now he was there with someone else waiting to watch her fail. "We can put these comments on the screen," the producer offered. "Frame it as overcoming hate, but only if you say yes." Maya looked at the paper. She thought of the years of jokes that weren't jokes. She thought of the silence in the car. "Do it," she said. "Don't edit anything. Show the words exactly as he wrote them." I'm singing Cage Door Open. Walking to the stage, the adrenaline was different this time. It wasn't fear. It was fuel. The curtain rose. The lights blazed. The host asked, "Maya, what does this night mean to you?" She looked directly into the camera lens. "It means I finally stopped asking permission to exist." The music started a somber piano chord. Behind her, the massive LED screen turned white. Then the text appeared. Huge black letters. "She's not that good. People are just emotional," the audience murmured. Then another popped up. Embarrassing to watch. In the fourth row, Eric froze. The woman in red squinted at the screen. Eric's hand twitched on the armrest. He recognized his own syntax. Maya began to sing. Her voice was low, confessional. She sang about a small apartment and a dream laughed at over dinner. She sang about shrinking herself to fit someone else's comfort zone. Then the chorus hit. "I'm not your echo, I'm not your joke. I'm the cage door open, I'm the fire in the smoke." She belted it out, the sound crashing through the theater. On the screen, the comments cycled faster, juxtaposed with footage of her working late, writing in notebooks, standing alone. The contrast between his petty hate and her undeniable talent was visceral. The camera cut to Eric. He was pale. He realized the lyrics were about him. He realized the comments were his. The woman next to him pulled her hand away, looking at him with disgust. Maya reached the bridge. She dropped to a whisper. "You wrote my limits in invisible ink. Now I'm walking out and I'm locking this cage." The final comment flashed. "She'll never be more than a receptionist with a karaoke voice." The audience gasped. Maya hit the final note, holding it until her lungs burned, pouring every ounce of pain and liberation into the microphone. She ended with her hand in the air, chest heaving. The crowd erupted. People jumped to their feet. The judges stood. It was a roar of approval that shook the floorboards. In the fourth row, surrounded by a standing ovation, Eric remained seated. He couldn't move. He was the only person sitting in a sea of people cheering for his wife. A camera found him. It held the shot. The man who tried to keep her small, frozen in high definition while the world celebrated her. Maya walked off the stage into the arms of the crew, breathless and free. She didn't look back at the audience. She didn't need to. She knew that for the rest of his life, Eric would be haunted by the image of her shining on that stage, and the knowledge that his hate had only made her louder. Her voice was finally her own,